Hello and welcome to Insights, the podcast with your host, Joe Parnay. Join me in this deep exploration of our personal journeys from ambition to meaning, where we stop living life fast and start living life deep. This is a journey of waking up and realizing that our lives have never been about us, but about others. True success leaves positive ripple effects on other souls. I believe that success needs to be redefined from our own personal ambitious endeavors to be redefined as the value that we leave and give to others around us. Join me now as we begin this journey to deeper connections, even more fulfillment, some fun, curiosity, life, love, and all good things. Your deeper journey from ambition to meaning starts right now. Hey everyone, it's Joe here. Welcome to episode 77. Can't wait to share what I'm going to be sharing with you today. Just before we hop in, I've got a free training coming up on September 15 at 1 p.m. It's online. It goes for about an hour. It's introducing us into the Emotional Fitness Expert's Guide, which is the ultimate journey, the journey from ambition to meaning. And so in this 1 hour training, what I'm going to be doing is introducing you into what the emotional fitness formula is all about. And so for those of you who might be coaches, consultants of some kind, this is content that actually helps people navigate the uncertainties of business, the uncertainties of relationships, the uncertainties of life, and how to reduce anxiety and depression in a non-clinical sense. It's a fascinating, I just love this work. It's a culmination of the last 16 years of me being committed to this kind of work. And I can't wait to deliver this for you. Also, if you wanted to deepen your professional, personal, and or spiritual development, something you may want to consider. So there's a link somewhere here, whether you've received an email, you can simply go to joeparnay.com.au and there's a link right there to register. It's pretty straightforward. Can't wait to deliver this on September 15. So 1 p.m. Melbourne, Sydney time, goes for about an hour, and can't wait to share with you the program and how it actually all works. Excuse my voice. I've been fresh off delivering a couple of big sessions, one at a conference and one with a room full of 70 people with no microphone. So my voice is a little bit over projected. So pardon me if I crackle and croak on you a little bit here. All right. So episode 77, the single most important relationship in your life, and it's not what you may think. So decades of research into the realm of psychedelics, dating back as far as around the 1950s, reveals that in most instances, the experience of taking a psychedelic of some kind significantly expands our perspective. Now, by expanding our purview of life, broadening our perspective and seeing through the stories we tell ourselves, our perception of what has happened in our lives can change very, very, very quickly. So I'm not sure if you know this, but I had to look this up in the dictionary, but the word psychedelic, because I was curious to know, what does this word actually, how do they define it in the dictionary? Well, fascinatingly, psychedelic means mind or soul revealing. How fascinating is that? Mind or soul revealing. Even more fascinating than that, for those of you who know or familiar with my work in emotional fitness, you know that emotional fitness, I measure it by the quality of our relationship with uncertainty. And I was completely and utterly validated on this when I saw this interview with a fellow whose name is Professor Robin Carhart-Harris. He's a neuropsychopharmacologist. That's a lot, isn't it? Neuropsychopharmacologist. You're a neuropsycho what? A neuropsychopharmacologist. So what he says is, and this is what it took my passion for this work to a whole other level when he said this. He goes, listen to me. He said, a lot of mental illness appears to be a kind of defensive reaction to uncertainty, to give oneself a kind of assuredness in the world, even if it means developing an eating disorder which gives us control over something. That's what he says. I'll repeat the quote. I think this is fascinating. So this is a fellow, I think from Stanford University. I might have that wrong, but this Professor Carhart-Harris, I'll repeat his quote because I think it's well worth repeating. He says, a lot of mental illness appears to be a kind of, and here are the key words, defensive reaction to uncertainty, to give oneself some kind of assuredness in the world, even if it means developing an eating disorder which gives us control over something. I find this astoundingly crucial to realize. And this leads us to the whole topic, of course, of what this podcast is about and what I'm all about, which is the realm of emotional fitness, is that it's all about improving and having a healthy relationship with uncertainty, because we know that uncertainty is needed in order for us to grow. So the starkest of contrasts is if we are trying to unlock a padlock, right, without the key, it seems impossible. But if we have the key, it becomes the simplest task on earth to perform, is to unlock that padlock. Naturally, human behavior is much more complex than a padlock, right? However, based on my experience of living and helping people for all these years, when you have an accurate focus point in your life where you can work on something that can make a massive difference in your life, this becomes very exciting, because this is like your behavioral key, right? I'm getting very excited again, aren't I? Now, Pareto, the Italian economist, he discovered a pattern in how numbers actually work by discovering what's known as the 80-20 rule. So, for example, we will spend 80% of our time in 20% of our house, or we may wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. Now, whilst this is not perhaps, exact, the overarching nature of this pattern is generally pretty accurate. Now, what about this? If we spent 10 to 20%, and this is just a rough guide, if we spent 10 to 20% of our energy on improving the one relationship that matters the most, which is our relationship with uncertainty, this would serve us on so many levels. Here are three really important reasons why you may want to consider this, right? One, significantly reducing our vulnerability to a mental illness. So by becoming a conscious inviter of uncertainty, by improving our relationship with uncertainty, it significantly reduces our vulnerability to a mental illness, most likely in the form of anxiety and depression. Two, it boosts our emotional fitness by spending 10 to 20% of our time immersing in uncertainty. It boosts our emotional fitness, which means we can tolerate discomfort for longer periods of time, meaning we can better navigate difficult situations. Three, growth is a perpetual need of everything in the universe. We can only grow in the presence of uncertainty. The irony is that without uncertainty, we would die. That's a fact. So what if we spent 10 to 20% becoming a conscious inviter of uncertainty? Now, what does this actually mean? So uncertainty, first of all, for me to explain that, uncertainty can be expressed and experienced in our lives in many ways. Now, three very important ways that it can be consciously introduced is, one, variety, having more variety in your life. Well, there's lots of ways of doing that, ironically. Two, embracing a challenge. Three, introducing adventure. So if we don't consciously, so variety can be through laughter and playfulness and lightness. Challenge could be a physical challenge, a spiritual challenge, an emotional challenge, a relationship challenge, a professional challenge, a work challenge, a business challenge. There's all kinds of challenges available to us that we can consciously invite and embrace into our lives. Or going on some kind of adventure, maybe going on some holiday somewhere that stretches you, that is really uncomfortable, and somewhere you've never been before with a completely different culture or something. I don't know, whatever it might be, right? If we don't consciously invite uncertainty into our lives, life will. If we don't squeeze life, it will squeeze us. Now remember, everything in the universe is designed to grow. We need varying forms of uncertainty in order to grow. Now, most of us have been conditioned to be afraid of uncertainty. However, it may not be that scary, after all, if we see it expressed as variety, challenge, or adventure. So here are three different levels that we can invite uncertainty into in very healthy ways into our lives. The easiest level to invite uncertainty into our lives is via variety, as I just mentioned a minute ago. Laughter, breaking up routines so that we are doing something different every week, eating something new, or going to a new place to do our food shopping, having a day every week dedicated to doing a new thing. For example, walking down a street in your area you've never been down, or taking a different form of transport to go to work for something different, or go a different way. This is a very easy way and healthy way of bringing uncertainty into our lives in the form of variety. Something a little bit more challenging, bring adventure into your life. Planning and going on a holiday somewhere you have never, ever been, as I was just talking about. A foreign country you know very, very little about. Trying a new food that is foreign to your system. Exploring new ideas with a friend. Learning a new language. Taking up a new skill. Trying a new experience of some kind. For me, it was doing my first marathon and then my second, then my third, right? So that was adventure for me. Something more bigger picture, something more challenging will be to bring more challenge into your life. Now, this can be expressed in so many ways, which can either have a temporary impact or in most instances, something more permanent or profound. Some examples here, right, of which I've personally embraced, right? Changing career direction if it's appropriate. Changing your career path if it's appropriate. Learning a completely new skill or way of making an income, like learning a new skill in order to make an income in a different way, perhaps, maybe, as an example. Embracing a physical feat, which draws every ounce of your being. As I mentioned, marathon for me it was, and I still remember how scared I was of that first 42.2 kilometer race. It was just, wow, it took everything out of me and in me to make it happen. Packing up, selling up, moving states, moving countries, starting a new relationship. These are all bigger picture challenges. And what a wonderful, healthy way of bringing uncertainty into your life. Something that we all need to remember, right, is that our spirit soars when our egos are threatened or challenged. This we must remember. I'll say that again. Our spirit soars when our egos are threatened or challenged. And, our spirit soars. It loves it when the egos are threatened or challenged. And these 3 ways of inviting uncertainty into your life certainly does that. So remember that we are only talking about 10 to 20% of our energy or time building our relationship with uncertainty. And the rest of our time is invested in things and experiences and people and places that we know very, very well, which brings us certainty, comfort, safety, security. This is a very sustainable way of doing this. Of course, we all know that life doesn't work perfectly this way, where we can consistently spread our energy in this way. But for example, when we sold up our home and our life pretty much in Melbourne, leaving everything we have known, including our dearest friends and family, and moving north into Noosa here in Queensland, we were expending 80% of our energy into the uncertainty and into the unknown. It was very, very different. It took a lot of energy, to say the very least. Preparing our house for sale, finding a new home in Queensland, embracing the challenge of doing a 14-day quarantine in a 30 square meter room with no balcony or opening window. My God, I remember how challenging that was, especially in the first 48 hours. Finding all of our basic bearings on arrival, meeting new people, running a business, kids starting at a new school. We were riddled and racked in uncertainty until the dust settled a few months later. So sometimes life can be different, where 80% of your time is spending in uncertainty. But the more sustainable way of doing it is where 10 to 20% of your energy is involved in consciously inviting uncertainty into your life. So, look, I hope there's something in there for you. I hope there's something in there, and I hope there's that this makes a whole lot of sense in terms of what I'm sharing with you. So, yeah, love it, love it, love it, love it. So I'm going to wrap up now. Episode 77. Hope you enjoyed it. So remember, guys, I'll just, again, just some quick housekeeping before I wrap up. My free training coming up on September 15 on the Emotional Fitness Experts Guide, A Journey from Ambition to Meaning. September 15, 1 p.m. goes for about an hour. That's 1 p.m. Melbourne, Sydney time. And you can register via joeparnair.com.au, or you'll have a link somewhere if you've received this podcast in the form of an email. And can't wait. The Emotional Fitness Formula, or the Emotional Fitness Experts Guide, is for people who want to develop their professional skills, personal skills, spiritual skills, and for coaches and consultants who want to, plug in content that can actually help others navigate uncertainty in healthy ways, how to reduce anxiety and all those kinds of important things. Then this is something you may want to consider attending as an introduction. So it's an introductory training into the Emotional Fitness Experts Guide, which is the most important journey that we'll ever take, which is a journey from ambition to meaning, from ego to heart, from fear to love, from self to others. It's a beautiful thing. So hope you can join me there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and can't wait to either see you on September 15 or reconnect with you, or both, reconnect with you in episode 78, whenever that gets released, sometime down the track. Okay? Thanks so much, everyone. Bye for now. I'm Joe Parnair, and you've been listening to Insights, the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you're thoroughly loving the journey of these messages, please feel more than welcome to leave a review. And be sure to leave a comment on what you've been learning and how useful this has been to you, and how you've been sharing this with those around you. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm looking forward to being with you again very soon in the next episode of Insights, the podcast.